My nephew slammed the laptop shut and laughed. The screen went black. At the dining table, my sister laughed too. She said kids will be kids, and everyone smiled at plates. My manager was on speaker waiting for my reply. I said nothing. I closed the call and apologized later. No one intervened. My mother watched the stain spread across the tablecloth where coffee spilled from my cup. I sat still while the jokes landed. I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain the deadline or the contract. I folded my hands and felt the room decide what I was worth. The laughter stayed with me after everyone left. The authority in that room belonged to my sister because she was older and louder. Our mother followed her lead and cleared plates. No one asked about the call I had ended. No one asked about the screen. They treated it as a small accident. I carried the laptop home like a box of broken glass. It was my work machine, paid for with my savings. I freelance and bill by deadlines. Missing one can end a contract. I emailed apologies that night and asked for time. The reply was polite and final. They hired someone else. The next morning, my sister sent a laughing emoji. She wrote that kids learn by breaking things. She said I should relax. Our mother added that family matters more than screens. She reminded me I could always find another job. No one offered to help replace it. This was not new. When we were younger, my sister spoke and decisions followed. When I spoke, the room went quiet. Teachers called her confident and me sensitive. At home, chores bent toward me. Promises bent away. Years ago, my father set rules that favored peace over fairness. Peace meant agreeing with my sister. Fairness meant discomfort. He chose peace. After he died, the habit stayed. Our mother kept it alive. I learned to swallow small losses. I learned to fix my own problems quietly. When I protested, I was told not to start drama. When my sister crossed lines, we were told to move on. The laptop was different because it was public. The call was heard. The laughter was shared. An authority watched and chose silence. My mother's silence mattered most. She had the power to say it was wrong. She had the power to ask for accountability. She chose comfort instead. She chose the smile that keeps dinners smooth. I went to a repair shop and asked for options. The technician said the hinge was gone and the board cracked. It would cost more than the laptop was worth. He suggested replacing it. I bought a used one on a payment plan. It arrived with a sticky key and a loud fan. I set it up and kept working. At night, I replayed the table scene. I noticed where eyes went. I noticed who laughed first. I noticed who never spoke. Authority is not always a title. Sometimes it is the person everyone follows. Sometimes it is the silence that ends a conversation. I did not confront anyone. I did not ask for money. I adjusted my budget and my expectations. I made notes about patterns. I wrote dates and choices. I stopped hoping for repair. What hurt was not the machine. It was the decision to let it break without consequence. It was the familiar lesson that I could absorb the loss. That lesson had been taught for years. This time I finally learned it. I did not argue. I did not explain deadlines. I watched how authority protects itself. I prepared to change how I showed up. Not loudly. Not angrily. Just deliberately, with fewer expectations and clearer edges. The room would feel that later. I was already leaving the old role behind. Quietly. Alone. By the end of that week, small memories lined up and stopped feeling small. I remembered birthdays where my gift was opened last, then set aside. I remembered graduations where my sister stood in front for photos and I stood behind coats. I remembered loans I repaid and favors she forgot. Work had always been my quiet claim to space. I earned my own money. I kept my schedule tight. When family gatherings interrupted it, I adjusted without complaint. I was praised for being flexible. That praise hit a rule. I was flexible because I was expected to be. After the laptop incident, the rule sharpened. My sister asked me to watch her son during my work hours. She said it would only be for an hour. It became 3. When I said I had calls, she said family comes first. Our mother nodded, eyes on the child, not on me. I began to see how often convenience chose me. When rides were needed, my car was available. When bills were split, my share rounded up. When apologies were required, mine came easily. When apologies were owed to me, silence arrived. There were older moments I had renamed to survive. A holiday where my room was given away. A wedding where I was placed at the edge. A contract I lost because I left early to keep peace. Each time, authority softened the story and moved on. I stopped explaining myself because explanations invited debate. Debate invited judgment. Judgment landed on me. It was simpler to absorb and continue. That week, I started tracking what I gave and what I lost. Time, money, attention, sleep. I compared it to what returned. The page stayed thin on one side. I did not feel anger. I felt clarity. The pattern was not accidental. It was efficient. It used my silence to keep things running. The boundary crossed quietly, the way it always had. My sister asked to borrow money to cover a short gap. She said it would be for a few days. She said she would pay me back once a check cleared. I looked at my account and thought about the used laptop payment. I sent the money anyway. Days passed. Then a week. Then another message arrived. She needed more time. She added a laughing face as if delay was a joke we shared. Our mother called and told me not to pressure her. She said stress affects children. She said I would get it back. I didn't ask again. I waited. At a family dinner, my sister talked about a new phone. She showed it around. I kept my eyes on my plate. The authority in the room did not notice me. Or it chose not to. The next morning, I received an email from my bank. A payment bounced. Fees followed. I paid them and moved on. I didn't tell anyone. I stopped sharing numbers. I stopped offering flexibility. What changed was internal. I stopped asking to be included. I stopped arranging my life around approval. I did not announce a boundary. I built one. I updated my schedule and blocked my hours. I stopped answering messages during work. When asked to watch my nephew, I said I couldn't. I didn't explain. Silence did the work. The money was never returned. It became proof instead. It showed me the cost of access. It showed me how easily my needs were traded for ease. I didn't feel rage. I felt a clean edge settle in. I understood that belonging had been conditional. I had met the conditions too well. Now I withdrew my labor, my money, my time. The room didn't notice at first. It would. Changes like this surface slowly. They always do. The consequences didn't arrive with noise. They arrived through calendars and bank statements and quiet refusals. I stopped attending dinners that fell on work nights. I sent gifts by mail instead of showing up. When asked why, I said I was busy. It was true. Without my time, small gaps appeared. Childcare plans broke. Rides were missed. Bills landed unevenly. My sister complained about stress. Our mother called more often, her voice tight. She asked if everything was okay. I said yes. Weeks later, my sister called crying. Her check had been delayed. Fees stacked up. The new phone payments hit at the wrong time. She asked if I could help just this once. I listened. I didn't interrupt. When she finished, I said I couldn't. I didn't explain. The silence after that answer was long. She tried again, softer. I repeated myself. The call ended without goodbye. Our mother called next. She spoke about family and forgiveness. She spoke about emergencies. She asked me to reconsider. I said I had already decided. I didn't argue. I didn't list examples. I didn't mention the laptop or the money. I kept my voice steady. At the next gathering, my chair stayed empty. Conversations stumbled. My sister filled the space with complaints about being unsupported. People shifted in their seats. Someone asked where I was. Our mother said I was busy. The pattern exposed itself without my help. Requests piled up with no answer. The system that relied on me strained. Authority looked around for a substitute and found none. A month later, a letter arrived from my sister's landlord, addressed to me by mistake. She had used my address on a form. The notice warned of late fees. I forwarded it without comment. I did not follow up. Work stabilized. New clients came. I replaced the used laptop with a better one. Paid it off early. I slept more. I spoke less. When my sister finally apologized, it came wrapped in reasons. She said things had been hard. She said she didn't realize. I thanked her for calling. I didn't reopen anything. We see each other now in measured ways. Polite. Short. Clear. The laughter is gone. The room feels different. Authority has shifted to rules instead of moods. I didn't win anything. I recovered myself. I learned the cost of silence and the value of leaving it intact. I keep my edges now. They are quiet. They hold.